Recently, my 27F husband, 28M, admitted to having an 8-month affair. Where do we go from here? Update: 1 week after I've moved out, he's going to a concert with the other woman. First post TL, Doctor, after a horrible year, my husband, married for 2 years, together for 5 in total, recently admitted to having an affair for 8 months. I'm moving in with a friend for a while. I don't know if he deserves a second chance. My original post didn't get much attention, but I got some good advice. So, I figured I'd give a progress report if anyone is interested in what's happened since I moved out. Most people who responded said that it's not worth giving him a second chance, but I went with less popular wait and see if he's making the effort option. It's been a week since I left home. I'm boarding with an older woman who works loads and lives out of town on weekends, so I do get my own space. For 2 months after he confessed to the affair, we still lived together. I didn't have the money to move out or the heart to tell him that he needed to go live with his parents, so it was a bit stifling. It was very distracting, as he was doing all of the right superficial things to make me think that he was changing, complimenting me, being affectionate, being around more, etc. So, I couldn't really process how I was feeling about the affair. I was too focused on thinking, oh, look at how good things are again, when I should have been more concerned with whether or not I would ever be able to trust him again. Now that I'm, essentially, living on my own, I'm starting to process things. I feel like I'm having a delayed reaction because I'm absolutely devastated and finally starting to feel heartbroken. I don't know what to do with myself. I work from home, and I can't bring myself to get anything done. I just stay in bed all day until it's a reasonable time to go out to the pub. We've not really kept in touch, but I guess that's the point. We speak occasionally and it's always cordial. We just check up on each other, share jokes and what have you. Today, we went out for coffee to have a catch-up, and it was nice. I realized how much I missed him this past week. He was lovely, and complimentary, and we had a laugh. It was just like old times, and I was happy for a moment. I was starting to think maybe he could be worth a second chance until he told me that he's going to see a concert with 3 friends tomorrow night. One of them is the woman that he cheated on me with. Granted, we are separated, but I'm sure I'm not overreacting when I say I was absolutely floored to hear this. They had purchased the tickets ages ago, she has them, and he forgot until recently. I told him that I'm really not okay with this, and that he really should have figured out another way to sort out going to this gig where he either sells his ticket to her or she sell her to him. He said that it's too late to do that now, but he sees my point. I don't remember the rest of the conversation because my brain just filled with duck. I'm livid, but how can I ask him to give up his ticket to see his favorite band when we are not even living together? If we're separated, and seeing other people is part of separation, does that make this okay? When someone has ASD, can I really expect him to understand that it hurts me to know he's going to a gig with a woman who has pretty much broken up our marriage? Since he's back in school, I said I wouldn't bring up our issues until he's finished his course, mid-October. But, I still feel like he should be making some sort of effort to let me know that he's sorry. Is that asking too much? TL, Doctor, I moved out after my husband confessed to his 8-month affair. I was starting to think that he might deserve a second chance. Now, after he's told me that he's going to a concert with the woman he cheated on me with, I'm beginning to realize that he might not. Hi guys, I promise to love you if you like, comment, and subscribe. Seriously, just leave this guy already. Get a lawyer and a therapist and move on with your life. If he gave a poop about his marriage, he would just not go to the concert. I wouldn't be shocked if he was still seeing her. Leave the idiot and go no contact. And no, he won't say he's sorry cause he's probably not. Look, this relationship is over, from his side at least. Gather your self-esteem and move on. Please stop flogging a dead horse. I, 30F, worry that my husband 32 meters, might be falling in love with another family. First of all, I want to say that my husband is an absolutely amazing man, and what I say here is not to tarnish his reputation or anything like that. We have been married for 6 years, known each other for 8. Initially we both wanted to have kids, him more than me. However, I wanted to finish up my education first. Towards the end of my senior year I ended up going to the ER. Long story short, I found out that I was infertile. I told my husband, at the time boyfriend, that I won't be able to have kids. He was distraught to say the least, but he told me he still loved me and stuck by me. At that moment I felt so guilty for having a guy that would be willing to give up so much just to stay with me. We ended up getting married later. We have had a great marriage. We both were very close to each other at the time. I'd say we had romance about 10 times a week, and weekends were our special days. About 3 years into our marriage I went in with joint pain, was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. Soon after, with all the medication I had to take, having romance got to the point where it was unbearable. My husband and I would still try certain things other than PIV, but I knew it wasn't going to be the same. My husband was caring and thoughtful, and there were so many nights since then when we'd try and I ended up crying in his arms. When we'd go to bed together he would cuddle up next to me and give me a massage to help alleviate my joint pain. I felt like I was the most selfish wife ever. I had robbed him of having a family, now I was having him stay with me in a sexless marriage. I couldn't keep living with the guilt, so I told my husband that I am okay if he sleeps with other women. I told him that I don't want to hear about it, just do it behind my back. We had arguments about this, but I remained firm. I told him that I couldn't keep him like this. A bit later, one of our mutual friends, we will call her Lisa, husband passed away. In all honesty, weren't a big fan of her husband. Lisa and her husband weren't on good terms. Technically they were married, but they lived in separate homes and her husband would rarely visit her and their daughter, Danny. Danny was 5 years old at the time of the incident. Lisa needed a lot of help because she worked full-time and she needed help. My husband and I volunteered to help, things such as picking Danny from daycare, spending some time with her, work around the house. I noticed especially when it came to Danny, my husband and her connected right away. Very soon Danny was always excited to see my husband. It started getting to the point where he would spend a lot of time with them. Initially when Lisa needed help I'd be out and about, but my RA really limited me. By the time I'd come back from work I'd be exhausted and couldn't really be that active. I noticed more and more that Lisa would upload photos of my husband, her, and Danny together on Facebook. I didn't think too much of it at first. It wasn't until someone commented on it and said, "You guys look like such a happy family." After reading that, I had a sinking feeling in my heart. I started noticing things more and more. I noticed my husband would come home and just be happier than normal. We still spent a lot of time together, but it wasn't the same. The highlight of his week would be spending time with Danny and Lisa. He would bring up stories about what happened with Danny. My husband and I were invited to Danny's birthday party, and I noticed that she pretty much described my husband as her dad to her friends. To add to that, I noticed how Lisa would stand around my husband as if he was her husband. I didn't really know what to do at this point. I just wanted to vanish. My husband made plenty of attempts to make sure I was not out of place at the party, but it almost seemed like him and Lisa were the ones that were the family and I was the guest. Since then I have tried to make an effort to connect with him more. We still spend a lot of time cuddled up in bed together. I tried to be physically intimate with him as well, but none of it worked. We tried PIV romance after trying a lot of lube, me switching my gyno and a bunch of different things. Yet it was still extremely painful, and it didn't look like my husband was having any fun either. I feel like I failed as a woman. I can't give my husband anything. I fear my husband's attachment to Lisa as well. I told him that he is free to have romance with whomever. I don't think he has acted on it with anyone up until this point, but I think there might be things going on between him and Lisa. I have noticed that back then he used to play a good bit more. He'd always have some chrome on his boxers. How I knew. Now I rarely find it. I did tell him he is free to sleep with whomever, so I can't even hold it against him. And even then I don't think it would be fair to stop him. So far this has been going on for a little over a year. I am not really sure on what to do. Danny is really attached to my husband and I'd feel terrible for taking him away from her. I don't know if I should ask my husband if him and Lisa are doing anything, because I told him earlier I didn't want to know. TL doctor, I was diagnosed with RA and am sterile. Husband has been taking care of me since. However, recently he has taken interest in helping out another family. Now I feel as if I am losing him. This is the saddest story I've read in months. I'm so sorry for everything that happened. I wouldn't wish your position on anyone. Can you imagine a future where you're happy? If so, what will it take to get there? What do you want? What I want is for me and my husband to have a normal romance life, to raise a family of our own together like we always talked about. I don't see any of that happening anytime soon. We have thought about the idea of adoption, but neither of us really want to pursue that route. My husband already works a lot and he spends a good bit of his free time already caring for me. If we were to adopt, there would be no way I'd have the energy to be a parent.